This is homework set 3, arithmetic with real numbers, adding and subtracting. And we're going to look at questions 17 through 20. Question 17, we have, I got two subtractions here, right? Do you see them? There's that one, and there's that one. Actually, three subtractions. There's this one inside that grouping symbol. So I got a grouping symbol here. Let's work inside there first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that subtraction to addition of the opposite of that 9, which is negative 9. So let's rewrite. So we will have 8, let me make the same color here. 8 minus negative 10. Now change this subtraction, change that subtraction to addition of the opposite. Now I've got a 9. The opposite of 9 is negative 9. I'll put it in parentheses. Okay. And then I still have that minus 1 out here. Now what about that addition? So we'll have 8 minus, what do we get in here? Well, we're adding two numbers with the same sign, right? I'm adding two negative numbers. So how do you add two numbers with the same sign? You just add their absolute values. 10, 9, so that'll give me 19. And then I use the common sign, negative. So I'll have negative 19 and then minus 1. Now, subtraction again. Subtraction. Change subtraction to addition of the opposite. Now that's going to become an addition sign, and the opposite of negative 19 is 19. So we'll have 8 plus, opposite of negative 19 is 19. And then I still have that minus 1. Now, two at a time. 8 plus 19 is 27 minus 1, which is 26. Question 18. Looks like we have two sets of grouping symbols here. I've got this innermost set, and then I've got that outer set. Let's work with the inner set first. So what I've got here is 3 minus 4. Now I'm going to rewrite this whole expression here. 2 minus square bracket. Now what is that 3 minus 4? 3 minus 4, if you have 3, you lose 4, you're down 1. So I'll have a negative 1 here. And then I've got that minus 12. Now let's work inside this grouping symbol right here. Now change subtraction to addition. So I see I have a subtraction. Change subtraction to addition of the opposite of that 12. So how about 2? Well, let's not do that. 2 minus negative 1. Now change that subtraction to an addition, but of the opposite. So there we have the opposite of 12 is negative 12, and I'll write it in parentheses. Now, I have 2 minus, what is this? What are we doing? We're adding two numbers with the same sign. They're both negative, right? Negative 1, negative 12. So what do? Add their absolute values. 1, 12, 13, and use the common sign, which is negative. So how about negative 13? And now I'm subtracting two numbers. So change subtraction to addition. So how about 2 plus, right? I changed that to addition of the opposite of this number. Now that's negative 13. The opposite of negative 13 is positive 13. And 2 and positive 13 is 15. Let's use the order of operations here in 19. So the order of operations, now remember how this goes. You do powers and roots first, multiplications, divisions right below it, second, and then addition, subtractions, third. All right, so look what we have here. I've got a multiplication, a power, a subtraction, a multiplication, and a power. Hierarchy says do those powers first. So I'm going to work with the 6 squared. and the 8 squared. And I happen to know what those are, so I'm going to write 5 times, now, 6 squared. 6 to the second power is 6 times 6, which is 36, minus 4 times, now 8 squared, 8 times 8 is 64. Now let's take care of this one and this one because I got a multiplication, 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 subtraction. So we do the multiplications first. Now 5 times 30, if you don't know what that is off the top of your head, you can use your calculator. So that turns out to be 180 minus, now 4 times 64 is 256. Now we've got a subtraction, right? There's a subtraction. So what do? Subtraction. You change subtraction to addition of the opposite. So I'm going to have 180. Now, change that subtraction to an addition of the opposite. Now, the number we're dealing with is the opposite of 256. The opposite of 256 is negative 256. And now I'm adding two numbers with opposite signs. So I run a little subtraction, find the absolute values. The absolute value is 256. Of negative 256 is 256. And then the absolute value of 180 is 180. All right, so can you make that subtraction? 6 minus 0 is 6. Now 5 I'll have to borrow. So I'll borrow 1. That'll be 15 minus 8, 70. And then I borrowed, so I have a 1 minus 1. That's it, 76. So when I add these two numbers together, I'm going to get 76, but I use the sign of the larger absolute value. Now, the absolute value of negative 256 is positive 256. The absolute value of 180 is just 180. So the larger one is the negative, so we're going to claim that this is now negative 76. Number 20 says that we should subtract negative 11 from the sum of 5 and 12. Now, see that word from? That is a key word here, from, because here's what from means. Wherever you see from, right after it, whatever follows from, that's where you start. So what do? I see this word from. So where do I start when I translate? I start over here. So what have we got? The sum of 5 and negative 12. So let's write that. Now here's the sum of 5 and negative 12. Okay, do you believe it? I've got the sum of 5 and negative 12. Now what I'm going to do is from this starting point, subtract 11. So I'll have minus 11. Let's use the order of operations now because all I have here is an addition and a subtraction. So right here, let's take care of these. 5 plus negative 12. That is negative 7. And then minus 11. And then this becomes negative 7 plus negative 11. I'm adding two numbers with the same sign. Add their absolute values. 7 and 11, 18. And then use the common sign. There we go. And this ends all the problems that we're going to work out of homework set 3.